As an author, how are you going to ensure that you produce a professional book, one that sits alongside traditionally published books and stands there with pride? And one of the big things that are going to help you with this is the design of your book. And I'm not just talking about the cover, I'm talking about the cover, including the front, the back, and the spine, also the internal pages. But how do you do this? And one way is to actually understand some of the industry jargon, because publishing, like every industry, is full of jargon. And no matter whether you're doing this yourself or working with a designer, then it's helpful to know what some of these terms are. Now, the first thing that a designer is going to ask you is, what is the trim size of your book? And what that actually means is the actual trim size of the paper when it's printed. And the reason this is important is because if you get it wrong and you can't publish that particular trim size, it means that you have to go back and start again with the design. So it's really important to work this out at the beginning of the design process. So what we suggest is that you look at where you're going to print your book. Is it going to be just on Amazon? Is it going to be Amazon and Ingram Spark? Are you going with a more traditional printer? Determine what size is available and that it's available across all the various platforms. Then you can give that to your designer. They're also going to ask you about font choices and colours and various other aspects of the design for the cover. Then you're going to look at the internal design, and this is going to be very dependent on what genre of book you're doing. Are you doing a children's book? Are you doing a cookbook? Is it a family memoir with lots of photos? Is it a work of fiction? All these things are going to determine the internal design of your book, as well as the trim size. So it's important to really know who your reader is and what they expect your book to look like. Now, when we're talking about the internal design, you're going to once again look at the font, the type size. Who is your reader? Are they more of an elderly reader that likes a bigger type size? Are they children that like something specifically fun and a little bit bigger? Look at that and make some decisions there. What you also want to do is be consistent throughout your book. Don't go with lots of different fonts that are hard to read. Also, you're going to be looking at the page layout. What do the words look like on the book? And things that you need to be thinking about is what we call the margins, and that is the white space around the words. And that includes the gutter, which is the space between the two pages. Now, you want to make sure that you allow enough space there so the reader doesn't have to open the book wide, right open, so they're really struggling to read the words because they're stuck in the middle. So think about that. The other thing to think about is your chapter openers. Do you want each chapter to look different? Do you want it to start on a right-hand page, which is also called a recto? Do you want it to have a chapter drop, which is where you'll see the first letter will be a different style, it'll be bigger, something like that? You need to think about your running heads. Now, that's words at the top of the page or at the bottom of the page. It can be the author name, the name of the book, the chapter title, all those sorts of things. There's no right or wrong, but what is right is being consistent. The other thing you're going to think about is the folios, which is the page numbers. Are you going to put them on? Are they going at the top of the page? Are they going at the bottom? Once again, no right or wrong. It is consistent. See, now, if you are going to have chapter openers, one of the big things that I see with self-published books is if there are running heads, they include it on the chapter opener, which if you open a traditionally published book, there is no running head on the chapter opener. It is a clear space. It's that white space that says a new beginning. Now, these are all little things, but they all add up to making the design of your book professional. Now, I understand that this can be overwhelming and you really have no idea, because the reality is we don't know what we don't know. So that is why I have created the Author's Guide to Professional Publishing. It takes you through all the different things that we talk about, the typesetting, the design, the layout, what goes in your book at the front and the end of the book, all of those sorts of things, which you don't really think about necessarily as an author. But if they're not there, the reader will notice it. And at the end of the day, you want a professional book. You want a book that gets the reader from the beginning to the end. You've spent a lot of time and effort in producing your book, in writing it, and you want your reader to enjoy the process. You don't want them to pick it up and think, oh my God, this is hard to read. The typeface is so small and the words are all crunched together. I can't be bothered. Do you want that? Do you want your reader to feel like that? I'm presuming the answer is no. So if you want to understand these terms, then please go to the website and download a copy of the Author's Guide to Professional Publishing. Also, please, if you've enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and you'll be notified when our next videos pop up.